Have you ever noticed how the harshest critic you'll ever encounter resides within you? That's right, we're talking about negative self-talk, that little voice that whispers discouraging words and thoughts into your inner ear. It's a powerful force, and it can seriously limit your potential and happiness. It can make you feel like you're never good enough, and it can blow your problems out of proportion. There are several common types of negative self-talk. For instance, there's personalizing, where you blame yourself for everything that goes wrong. Then there's magnifying, where you focus on the worst possible outcomes. And let's not forget about polarizing, where you see things as either perfect or disastrous, with no in-between. But here's the thing, that voice isn't the absolute truth. It's not a reflection of your worth or your capabilities. In reality, the voice that whispers, "You can't," is nothing more than a fabrication of your mind. The first step in combating negative self-talk is to recognize it. But how can we identify this elusive inner critic that often masquerades as our own voice? It's all about becoming aware of the common signs. One of the most noticeable signs of negative self-talk is constant self-criticism. This isn't about constructive feedback that helps us grow. It's about those harsh, unforgiving remarks that we wouldn't dream of saying to anyone else. It's when you find yourself saying things like, "I can't do anything right," or "I'm just not good enough." This type of self-talk is not only unkind, it's also untrue. Another sign is ignoring the positives. If you find yourself constantly downplaying your achievements and focusing on your failures, that's negative self-talk at work. You might have done 100 things right, but you're fixating on the one thing that went wrong. It's like looking at a beautiful garden and only noticing the single wilted flower. The third sign is a tendency to catastrophize or always expect the worst. This is when you predict gloom and doom, even when there's no rational basis for such forecasts. You might find yourself thinking, "I'm going to mess up this presentation," even though you've prepared thoroughly and have a track record of successful presentations. Recognizing these signs is the first step, but it's not always easy. Negative self-talk is sneaky. It can feel like it's part of who you are. But remember, you are not your thoughts. Your thoughts are just thoughts and they don't define you. It's also important to remember that recognizing negative self-talk is not about blaming or criticizing yourself. It's about understanding. It's about noticing patterns and tendencies without judgment. It's about saying, "Okay, I see that I'm doing this. Now, what can I do to change it?" Once you've acknowledged this inner critic, you've taken the first step towards silencing it. Now that you've identified your inner critic, it's time to challenge it. It's the voice that whispers doubts, fuels your fears, and amplifies your insecurities. But remember, it's just a voice. It isn't an infallible truth. It's a perspective, often skewed and distorted by past experiences and societal expectations. To challenge this voice, you need to question the validity of this negative self-talk. Think of it as a courtroom where you're the defense attorney, and your inner critic is the prosecutor. It's your job to cross-examine the prosecutor's arguments. First, look for evidence. When your inner critic says, "You're not good enough," ask, "What's the evidence? Is there concrete proof that supports this claim, or is it just a baseless accusation?" More often than not, you'll find that these criticisms are not supported by hard facts, but rather by generalizations and assumptions. Next, consider alternatives. Your inner critic tends to look at things from one negative perspective, but there are always other points of view. For instance, if your inner critic says, "You failed because you're incapable," an alternative perspective could be, "You didn't succeed this time, but failure is a part of the learning process." Remember, every situation has multiple interpretations. Lastly, weigh the pros and cons. Your inner critic might argue that it's protecting you from disappointment or failure. But at what cost? Is this voice helping you grow, or is it holding you back? The cons of listening to this negative self-talk, such as lost opportunities and decreased self-esteem, often outweigh any potential pros. By challenging your inner critic, you're not seeking to silence it entirely. You're seeking to understand it, to discern the helpful insights from the harmful chatter. You're learning to navigate the complex world of your thoughts and emotions, to separate fact from fiction. By questioning your inner critic, you're opening the door to more positive, empowering thoughts. You're moving from a place of self-doubt and self-criticism towards a place of self-acceptance and self-improvement. This is the journey of personal growth, and you're on the right track. With your inner critic on the back foot, you can now start to replace those negative thoughts. Imagine your mind as a garden. Negative thoughts are like weeds, choking out the vibrant flowers of positivity and peace. But just as a gardener wouldn't just yank out the weeds and leave the soil bare, we need to replace those negative thoughts with positive ones. This is where positive affirmations and visualization come into play. Positive affirmations are like seeds of positivity that you plant in your mind. They are powerful statements that you consciously choose to think to counteract your negative self-talk. For example, instead of thinking, "I can't do this," you might say, "I am capable and resilient." But remember, the key here is authenticity. Your affirmations should resonate with your personal values and goals. Now let's talk about visualization. It's a potent tool that uses your imagination to create mental images of what you want to happen in your life. It's like a rehearsal for success. For instance, if you're nervous about a presentation, visualize yourself delivering it with confidence and poise. Feel the success, hear the applause, and let that positive energy infuse your reality. Creating positive self-talk is like learning a new language. It might feel awkward at first, but with practice, it becomes more natural. Start by identifying situations that typically trigger your negative self-talk. Then, prepare a positive affirmation or visualization for each situation. Repeat these regularly, especially when you encounter those triggers. Using positive self-talk effectively is all about consistency. It's a daily practice, not a one-time quick fix. Like watering a garden, the more you nurture your positive thoughts, the more they'll grow, pushing out the negative ones. Remember, replacing negative thoughts isn't about denying reality, but about choosing a more positive perspective. It's about recognizing that you have the power to shape your thoughts and thereby your life. So step into that power and let your inner dialogue become your most empowering ally. Mindfulness is a powerful tool in your arsenal against negative self-talk. Imagine an ocean, vast and deep. The surface may be turbulent with waves crashing and swirling, but beneath the surface there's a profound calm, untouched by the storm above. This tranquility, this stillness, that's mindfulness. It's the ability to dive beneath the surface of your thoughts and emotions to the calm that exists within you. Mindfulness, in essence, is being fully present in the moment. It's about experiencing life as it unfolds without judgment or bias. It's observing your thoughts and emotions without getting swept away by them. When you're mindful, you're not lost in your thoughts or in your past or future. You're here in the now. So why is mindfulness beneficial? Well, it allows you to recognize your patterns of negative self-talk. It helps you to step back and observe your thoughts without getting entangled in them. It gives you the power to respond rather than react to your inner critic. Now let's take a moment to practice mindfulness. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath in, hold it for a moment, and then slowly exhale. Notice the rise and fall of your chest, the sensation of air entering and leaving your nostrils. If your mind begins to wander, gently guide it back to your breath. This simple exercise can help anchor you in the present moment. The beauty of mindfulness is that it can be practiced anywhere at any time. Whether you're washing dishes, walking in the park, or sitting at your desk, you can choose to be mindful. By bringing your attention back to the present, you can interrupt the cycle of negative self-talk. Remember, mindfulness is not about eliminating thoughts or emotions. It's about acknowledging them, observing them without judgment, and letting them pass like clouds in the sky. Mindfulness isn't just about combating negative self-talk, it's a lifestyle choice that can enhance every aspect of your life. Overcoming negative self-talk isn't a one-time event, but a continuous journey. We've journeyed through the power of self-talk, recognizing how impactful it can be to our daily lives. We've learned to identify the signs of negative self-talk, understanding that it often comes disguised as a critical inner voice. We've also delved into questioning our inner critic, challenging its authority and its basis. We've discovered that we hold the power to replace negative thoughts with positive affirmations, effectively shifting our mindset and attitude towards ourselves and our abilities. Lastly, we've explored the practice of mindfulness, being present and aware of our thoughts and feelings without judgment. This is a crucial step in maintaining a positive internal dialogue. All these steps require practice and patience. It's a journey towards self-love and acceptance. Remember, the voice inside your head is yours. Make it your best friend, not your worst enemy.